Has your job ever moved out of state? If you live in California, the chances of that happening are twice as high as any other state. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to The World According to Briggs. In the last couple videos, we focused on California and the problems that it faces. Every state has some problems. That's just life. California has many positives, probably more than any other state in the union, according to most people. The problem is the insane amount of negatives the Golden State has been facing and will continue to face far overshadow all of its positives. We've talked about the loss in population, celebrities that have left, and now let's take a look at the businesses leaving California or businesses that have already left. California is always listed as one of the worst states to have a business in the country. Overpopulated, overtaxed, overregulated, and the high cost of living for employees are the reasons most often given for that ranking. There are so many other reasons like crime, poverty, politics, and commute times that play into this. This isn't new. In 2011, a poll by various business groups said 82% of the executives and owners said that if they weren't already in the state, they wouldn't consider starting up a new business here. And 64% said the main reason they stayed in California was it was too tough to relocate and move their whole business to another state because of the type of business they had. That was in 2011. In 2020, companies don't care how tough it is. If they can move, they're packing up and leaving. Let's take a look at the 10 biggest corporate names that have given up on the Golden State. Number 10, Coremark. Coremark is a food distributor that mainly supplies food to convenience stores around the country. So if at some point in your life you're on your way home from a night out and you find yourself standing in front of a microwave that isn't your own, you've eaten some of their food. And here's a piece of advice along that vein from my own experience. Never have a 7-Eleven burrito before a one-night stand, hookup, or booty call. It's like a disaster. In 2018, Coremark president and CEO Scott McPherson announced the Fortune 500 company has had enough of California and finalized its plans to relocate its corporate headquarters to Westlake, Texas, which is a suburb of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. The company was headquartered in San Francisco since forever. They have distribution centers all over the country, but their headquarters and its 400 employees are now in the Lone Star State. Number 9, Abbott Laboratories. In 2016, Abbott Laboratories closed its Redwood City, California vascular device manufacturing facility, laying off about 150 people. That's according to biospace.com. The Temecula, California facility near San Diego has steadily dropped jobs since the early 2010s. At its peak, it had 4,000 employees. Now, I saw one report that it has around 1,000. If I was in charge of that one, that would have been the first place to go. Temecula sucks. It used to be nice in the early 1980s. These days, it's just a crime-infested hellhole that gets way too hot all the time. Anyway, they moved about 700 jobs to Puerto Rico, and I read one report that said the plan is to be out of California by the end of 2022-2023, something like that, taking the rest of their jobs to parts unknown. Number 8, Panasonic Manufacturing Corporation. Growing up in Torrance, California, more than a few of my friends' parents and then eventually my friends worked for Panasonic. They had manufacturing and offices in an industrial area near the Torrance airport, not too far from the home I grew up in. My first job outside of my parents' restaurant was across the street from this place. At its peak, the Panasonic manufacturing facilities had about 1,000 employees, both full-time and temp. The office had a couple hundred, and in the early 2000s, they moved a majority of their full-time jobs to Illinois, and the facility was finally shut down by 2016. They now have a thing called Panasonic Avionics. It's headquartered in Lake Forest, California, currently, but they have all their major business functions in Bothell, Washington. Now, the Panasonic North American headquarters has been headquartered in Newark, New Jersey since 2013. Number 7, Jamba Juice. Jamba Juice started off as a senior project at California Polytechnic University in San Luis Obispo, or simply Cal Poly. Jamba Juice was founded on March 31st, 1990, when it opened the first store in San Luis Obispo. It was incorporated in 1990 as the Juice Club Incorporated. In 2016, Jamba Juice announced it would be moving its corporate headquarters from Emeryville, which is not too far from like Oakland and San Francisco and all that, to Frisco, Texas, indicating the high cost of living and high cost of conducting business in California and the San Francisco Bay Area was just too much for the company and the employees. 2 years later, Jamba Juice announced it would be acquired by Atlanta-based Focus Brands. The acquisition was completed on September 14th, 2018, and now I guess they're headquartered in Atlanta. Number 6, Lyft and Uber. The ride-sharing services days may be numbered in California. One of the propositions on the ballot in the upcoming elections in California is Proposition 22. Prop 22 would consider app-based drivers to be independent contractors and not employees. Now, this is something many of the drivers and the company prefer. Some drivers want to be classified as employees and get all the things like insurance and 401ks. But the thing is, a lot of the drivers don't want that because they have other jobs that they get that stuff. This is extra money and they really like the flexibility. I got a Lyft ride last week while I was in Los Angeles and talked to the driver about it. He said he hates the idea. He doesn't want to be an employee. The main reason he does this is the flexibility. He's the one that said he could turn on the app and start working and turn it off when he wants to stop working. He said if the law passes, he'll stop being a driver even if Uber and Lyft stay in California. Anyway, if Prop 22 doesn't pass in November, Uber and Lyft said they will shut down their app and leave the Golden State. Number 5, Charles Schwab. Charles Schwab founded his company in San Francisco in 1971 and most recently had about 1,300 employees in the San Francisco area alone. That may not be a thing anymore. He started opening office and shedding jobs out to places like Denver and Austin, Texas for a while, and more recently Dallas. Now, he's been threatening to leave for years, but usually that was an arm-twisting tactic with a landlord every time the lease came up for renewal. But regardless of all that stuff, he's been moving people to different cities for a very long time, and it looks like they're finally done with San Francisco. When asked, he said the cost of doing business in San Francisco and all of California are so much higher than any other place in the country, you have to ask yourself, is it worth it anymore? Number 4, Pandora. The music app Pandora has been in Oakland since it was founded in the year 2000. Oakland may not be as expensive as the other side of the bay with San Francisco and Silicon Valley, but they're still pretty pricey. And dangerous. More dangerous, I should say. San Francisco is not the most pleasant place in the world now. Oakland's still quite a bit more dangerous. Pandora, for the time being, still has their headquarters in Oakland, but moved the workforce to Atlanta starting in 2018. A press release said that the Atlanta move would be an expansion of Pandora's workforce and said the move would provide a significant opportunity to add instrumental talent in a region with lower costs than the company's headquarters in Oakland. So it's just a cost-cutting measure. It's just too expensive for the employees. I mean, if you've got employees living there, you got to pay them more or they're going to be living in their car or down by the train tracks. So moving them to Atlanta, significant savings. Number 3, Toyota. This move had been in the works for a couple years before anyone knew about it. This is another company from my hometown of Torrance, California, which is just south of Los Angeles. Around 2008, you started hearing they might move, and then a few years later, it wasn't a rumor anymore. Toyota was moving to Texas. Some of my childhood and high school friends made the move with them, including my high school girlfriend. She's still there. Sure, low taxes, relaxed regulatory environment, and low crime helped them decide to move, but none of those factors topped the list of reasons Toyota decided to move to Plano, Texas, and take 3,000 jobs with them. It was really about affordable housing, which California has next to none. And that's what started the conversation for Toyota. They had a focus group with their employees. Overwhelmingly, their people said, we're willing to move. We just need to live the American dream and have a place where we can actually afford to buy a home and live happy. And that's what got the ball rolling for Toyota. Here's Torrance. It's kind of big. It's Southern California. And here's the Toyota facility. It's pretty good size for a town as big as Torrance. And mostly, it remains empty to this day. You could still see Toyota on the roof right there. Number 2, Tesla. Tesla and Elon Musk were on our last list and how he said he was moving everything out of California. The Tesla factory located in Fremont, California currently comprises of 5.3 million square feet of manufacturing and office space on 370 acres of land, but will almost double in size and create thousands of new jobs in the coming years following the city of Fremont's approval for his expansion plans. Now, that's the way it's supposed to be going down. It doesn't look like that may be happening. It might, there's still a chance, but things have kind of blown up lately. He's had issues with the state of California and has been in talks to leave the state entirely, move his whole operation out. Most recently, he took issue with not being able to open his factory during the pandemic. Now, this is after things had kind of slowed down and things were opening up around the country. He felt he had made his factory or was making it safe enough to open. They weren't budging. So he said he's just moving out of the state of California. In 2014, he decided to build a factory in Nevada instead of California when he was having other problems. This one's still playing out, so we'll see how things happen. And number 1, the Raiders. Yeah, the Raiders, the football team. In case you think that isn't a business, that it's just a football team, you're wrong. It is a multi-million-dollar company that is a football team, a marketing corporation, and a merchandise licensor, like all major sports teams. The Oakland Raiders have had problems with most of California at one time or another. They were founded in 1960 and originally based in Oakland, California. The Raiders played their first regular season game on September 11th, 1960, as a charter member of the American Football League. They moved to the NFL when the AFL and NFL merged in 1970. They had moved to Los Angeles at one point because they couldn't get a new stadium, and eventually came back when LA couldn't give them a new stadium, amongst other things. The city of Oakland, which has far too many problems to list in a 10-minute video, again, couldn't get a stadium deal done. They had many failed attempts, but a new stadium or a renovated stadium was just too much for Oakland. They couldn't do it, and they had far too many hurdles to jump over from the state of California. So they started looking elsewhere and eventually landed in Las Vegas. This is the first season in Sin City. Basically, Oakland and the whole Bay Area had far too many other problems where dishing out money for a new stadium was probably not the best idea. And I think that has a lot to do with why the Raiders left. The Oakland Coliseum is just a horrible place to watch anything. It's a horrible place to even drive by and look at. All right, that's our video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Don't forget all the links below. Give the video a big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.